My friends, I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine your entire life as a stock market. Every decision you make is an investment. Every habit you keep is a deposit. Every skill you develop is a share you buy. Now, here's the truth. You can't control the global market, the economy, or the weather, but there is one investment that is entirely yours to shape, grow, and protect you. And yet, most people spend more time researching the next phone they'll buy than they do investing in their own growth. If you truly understood your value, you would stop putting yourself last on your list. Today, I'm going to give you 7 powerful principles that will help you bet on yourself, because you are the only asset that will be with you for the rest of your life. Self-trust is the foundation of every great achievement. It's the belief that no matter what happens, you will figure it out, adapt, and keep moving forward. Without it, every decision feels like a gamble you can't afford to take. With it, every decision becomes a calculated risk worth taking because you know you can handle the outcome. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack talent or resources. They fail because they don't trust themselves enough to commit fully. They wait for certainty, they wait for other people's approval, and they wait for a guarantee that will never come. Self-trust is about betting on yourself even when the odds look uncertain, because you know that you are the only constant in your life. Think about someone starting a new business from scratch. They don't have investors lining up to throw money at them. They don't have a perfect plan with all the answers. What they have is a vision and the willingness to put themselves on the line for it. Every morning they wake up with choices, play it safe or take the leap. In the beginning, they hear more no than yes. They face rejection, setbacks, and even the quiet voice in their own mind whispering, maybe they're right. But here's what makes them different. They choose self-trust over self-doubt every single time. They know that their own belief is the first investment they must make before anyone else will believe in them. That belief becomes the seed for everything else that follows. The reason self-trust is so rare is because most of us have been trained to seek validation before we act. From an early age, we're graded, ranked, and compared. We're told to wait for permission, to follow the rules, to stay inside the lines. This conditioning teaches us to look outward for approval rather than inward for conviction. As a result, when it comes time to take a risk on ourselves, whether that's starting a new career, moving to a new city, or pursuing a bold idea, we hesitate. We think, what if I fail? Instead of what if I succeed beyond my wildest dreams? Self-trust flips that internal script. It replaces the fear of failure with the confidence that even if you stumble, you'll rise stronger than before. The truth is, you can't control the market, the economy, or the timing of every opportunity. But you can control how much belief you place in yourself. And that belief isn't built in a single moment. It's built through consistent action. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, you strengthen your self-trust. Every time you take responsibility instead of making excuses, you strengthen your self-trust. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you strengthen your self-trust. These moments add up. They become the proof your mind needs to believe that you can count on yourself no matter what. Of course, betting on yourself doesn't mean you'll always win right away. In fact, you might lose a few rounds before you start seeing results. But the point is, you will still be standing when the dust settles. You'll take the lessons from those losses, adapt your approach, and keep going. That's why self-trust is a better investment than any stock, business, or property. Because even if everything external is taken away, your ability to rebuild remains untouched. One of the biggest benefits of self-trust is the way it silences the noise around you. When you know your own value, you stop chasing approval. You don't waste time trying to convince everyone else to get on board. You understand that not everyone will see your vision, and that's okay. Your belief is enough to carry you forward until the results speak for themselves. And once you produce results, The same people who doubted you will start to wonder how you did it. To build self-trust, you have to start small. Keep the promises you make to yourself, even the tiny ones. If you say you'll wake up early, do it. If you say you'll finish that book, finish it. These small wins compound into a deep sense of reliability. You become your own most trusted partner. You start to realize that while the world can take away a job, a title, or a paycheck, it cannot take away your ability to execute on your own word. I want you to remember this: self-doubt costs more than failure ever will. Doubt keeps you from even stepping onto the field. Failure at least gives you experience, wisdom, and the chance to try again with more insight. Betting on yourself isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about knowing that you'll survive them, learn from them, and come back stronger. The person who trusts themselves is never truly defeated, because they understand that the real game is persistence, not perfection. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, make every decision from the perspective of complete self-trust. When an opportunity comes your way, don't ask, "Am I ready?" Ask, "How can I make this work?" When fear shows up, see it as a sign that you're moving toward growth. And when others doubt you, let their doubt be the fuel that strengthens your own belief. You are the only investment you fully control. So put everything you've got into believing in yourself, because once you do, the world has no choice but to take you seriously. When you look at the most successful people in any field, there's a common thread. They treat their skills like assets in an investment portfolio. They don't just rely on one talent, one degree, or one area of expertise. They diversify. They build a range of abilities that increase their value, no matter what market they're in. Just like a smart investor studies companies before buying shares, you need to study yourself and decide which skills will give you the highest return over the long term. The difference is that in the world of personal growth, you're both the investor and the investment. Every hour you spend learning, practicing, and mastering something is an hour that compounds in value for the rest of your life. Too often, people make the mistake of relying on one skill for decades. They graduate, get trained in a specific role, and then stop learning. At first, this seems fine, because that one skill pays the bills. But over time, the market changes, technology advances, and suddenly that once valuable skill isn't enough. The people who survive and thrive in these shifts are the ones who never stopped adding new tools to their toolbox. They understand that skills are like currency. What's valuable today may not be valuable tomorrow, but if you have multiple forms of currency, you'll always be able to trade for what you need. Imagine a sales professional who's great at closing deals, but knows nothing about digital marketing. For years, they rely on their in-person charm to win clients. But when the world shifts online, they find themselves struggling because they never learned how to sell in a virtual environment. Now imagine if that same person had spent time learning copywriting, social media strategy, or video presentation skills years earlier. Instead of scrambling, they'd be ahead of the curve. That's the power of skill diversification. It makes you adaptable, relevant, and in demand regardless of external changes. The great thing about skills is that once you own them, they can't be taken away from you. You could lose your job, your savings, even your home, but no one can repossess your ability to speak confidently, solve problems creatively, or manage a team effectively. Those are permanent assets. And unlike material possessions, skills often appreciate in value. The more you use them, the more powerful they become. But building skills requires intentionality. It's not enough to say, "I want to learn more." You have to think like an investor. Investors don't throw money randomly into anything that catches their eye. They choose based on potential return, long-term growth, and stability. You should do the same with your time and energy. Which skills will open the most doors for you? Which will increase your earning potential, your confidence, or your ability to serve others? Which skills will still matter in 10 years? One practical way to approach this is to create a skill investment list. Write down 3 to 5 abilities that, if you mastered them, would significantly upgrade your life. Maybe it's public speaking, financial literacy, coding, storytelling, or negotiation. Then break each skill down into smaller components you can practice daily. The key is consistency. Invest in these skills every day, even if it's just 30 minutes. Over time, those 30 minutes will compound into expertise. There's another benefit to building a skill portfolio. It boosts your confidence. When you have a range of abilities to draw from, you feel more capable of handling challenges. You stop feeling boxed in by one role or one industry because you know you can pivot. This is especially powerful during times of uncertainty. The more skills you have, the more options you have, and options are freedom. Of course, developing new skills often means starting as a beginner again. This can be uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being good at what you currently do. But remember, every master was once a beginner. You can't skip the awkward, unpolished phase of learning. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is that successful people are willing to look foolish for a while if it means they'll eventually become excellent. They see the learning curve as an investment period, not a failure. It's also worth noting that skills build on each other. Learning communication makes you a better leader. Learning leadership makes you a better entrepreneur. Learning entrepreneurship makes you a better problem solver. Each skill compounds the value of the others. That's why the best investors in themselves don't just learn in one direction. They cross-train their abilities so they can excel in multiple areas. If you want to bet on yourself, don't just hope for opportunities. Prepare for them. Make yourself so skilled, so versatile, and so valuable that when the right door opens, you don't hesitate to walk through it because you know you're ready. Stop thinking of skills as optional and start thinking of them as capital. Every book you read, every course you take, every hour you spend practicing is a deposit into the most secure investment account you will ever own, yourself. And like any smart investor, you should start today, because the earlier you begin, the greater your returns will be. Time is the most valuable resource you will ever have, yet it's also the one most people waste without thinking. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose possessions and replace them. But once a day passes, it is gone forever. That's why the people who truly bet on themselves treat time like the most precious investment portfolio they own. They know that every hour is either a high return investment in their future or a low value expense that will never pay them back. The challenge is that time doesn't come with a warning label. It's easy to spend it on things that feel urgent, but aren't important, or on distractions that keep you comfortable but stagnant. If you had 24,000 and you had to spend exactly 14,000 every single hour, you'd be strategic about where that money goes. You'd plan, prioritize, and protect it from waste. That's how we need to see our 24 hours each day. Every morning, the clock deposits a fresh balance into your life account. And by the end of the day, it's gone whether you used it wisely or not. The question is, are you spending that time on things that give you growth, progress, and momentum? Or are you burning it on activities that drain your energy and lead nowhere? The truth is, most people underestimate how much time they waste, because the cost isn't immediate. Spending an hour scrolling through social media doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment. But imagine adding up all those wasted hours over a year. It could be hundreds of hours that could have been invested into building skills, improving your health, strengthening relationships, or starting that project you've been dreaming about. The compound effect of time is real, and just like in investing, the earlier and more consistently you put it to work, the greater the return. A powerful example of this is found in people who master a craft. Musicians who practice an hour a day aren't instantly great after the first week, but over years, that consistent investment turns into mastery. Writers who commit to writing a page a day may not see huge progress in the first month, but in a year they have a full book. Athletes who train daily don't get championship level results overnight, but eventually they outperform everyone who didn't make the same investment. The difference is never talent alone. It's how they chose to spend their time. To treat your time like an investment portfolio, you have to start with awareness. Just like an investor tracks where every dollar goes, you need to track where every hour goes. For 1 week, audit your days. Write down what you do and how long you do it for. You may be surprised at how many hours slip away to low return activities like mindless scrolling, watching shows you don't care about, or engaging in conversations that lead nowhere. Once you see the leaks, you can patch them. The next step is to categorize your time into high return and low return activities. High return activities are those that bring you closer to your goals, improve your skills, deepen important relationships, or strengthen your health. Low return activities are those that neither advance you nor recharge you. They just fill space. Some activities like rest and recreation are necessary for long-term performance, but even those should be intentional, not accidental. Once you know where your time is going, you can reallocate it. If you find yourself spending 2 hours a day on low-value tasks, reclaim just one of those hours for something that compounds over time. Reading, exercising, learning, creating. That 1 hour a day adds up to 365 hours a year, which is more than 9 full work weeks you could be using to change your life. It's also important to protect your prime time, the hours when you have the most energy and focus. Too many people spend their best hours reacting to other people's priorities, answering emails, or getting lost in busy work. If you want the highest return on your time, use your peak hours for your most important, growth-oriented work. That's when you're making the biggest deposits into your future. The most successful people you know aren't magically given more time than you. They simply choose to invest their hours differently. They say no more often. They remove distractions. They focus on activities that give them long-term value instead of short-term comfort. They understand that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that could have moved them forward. If you truly want to bet on yourself, you have to become ruthless about where your time goes. Start treating it with the same seriousness you would treat a large financial investment. Plan your days, track your progress, and protect your hours from being stolen by trivial tasks. Because at the end of your life, you won't regret the money you didn't spend. You'll regret the time you didn't invest. The clock is ticking whether you use it wisely or not. Make the choice every day to invest in actions that will pay you back for years to come. That is how you turn time from a fleeting resource into the most powerful compounding investment you'll ever have. The people you choose to surround yourself with are one of the most powerful influences on your success, whether you realize it or not. Your environment shapes your habits, your mindset, and even your sense of what's possible. If you spend your time around people who are constantly complaining, doubting themselves, and making excuses, that energy seeps into your own thinking. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by people who set big goals, take action, and challenge themselves to grow, you start adopting those same behaviors almost automatically. Human beings are wired to mirror the people around them. It's why you unconsciously pick up someone's tone or mannerisms after spending time with them. That's why, if you truly want to bet on yourself, you must intentionally build a circle that raises your value rather than drains it. Think of yourself as a diamond in the rough. A diamond's worth isn't just determined by its existence. It's shaped, cut, and polished to maximize its brilliance. In the same way, you have raw potential, but it's the people around you who will either polish you into something extraordinary or leave you dull and unrefined. Imagine being in a group of friends who are constantly talking about opportunities, sharing ideas, and pushing each other to take action. Now imagine being in a group where the main topic is gossip, negativity, and why things never work out. Which one do you think will help you grow faster? A powerful example of this can be seen in elite athletes. Even the most talented player can't perform at their best if they're surrounded by teammates who don't train hard or coaches who accept mediocrity. But when they're in a high-performance environment, the standard naturally rises. They're forced to step up their game just to keep up. The same principle applies to you. When your circle is full of high achievers, you can't help but stretch yourself. You start setting higher standards for what's acceptable in your own life. The challenge is that sometimes the people closest to you, friends, family, colleagues, aren't the ones who push you forward. They might love you, but they may also project their own fears and limitations onto you. When you share a big dream, they might say, "Be realistic," or "Don't take that risk." They may not mean harm, but their perspective can slowly chip away at your self-belief if you let it. That's why you must be deliberate about seeking out people who inspire and challenge you, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone to find them. This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life who isn't on the same path as you. It means you prioritize your time and energy. You can still care for those relationships, but you choose to spend the majority of your time with people who elevate you. Think of it like investing. Your time is capital, and you want the highest return. Surround yourself with people who make you think bigger, act bolder, and hold yourself to higher standards. One way to do this is to join communities, masterminds, or groups where the norm is excellence. If you want to get in better shape, train with people who are fitter than you. If you want to grow a business, network with entrepreneurs who are further along than you. If you want to master a skill, learn from those who have already achieved it. When you're constantly exposed to people operating at a higher level, it shifts your definition of what's normal. What once felt impossible becomes standard. Another important factor is accountability. When you're in a circle that raises your value, you can't hide. If you say you're going to do something, the people around you expect you to follow through. They don't let you settle for excuses. This kind of accountability can be uncomfortable at first, but it's one of the fastest ways to grow. It forces you to align your actions with your words. It's also worth remembering that your network doesn't just shape you. It amplifies you. The right people can open doors you didn't even know existed. They can connect you to opportunities, resources, and ideas that accelerate your journey. But that only happens if you bring value to the table as well. High-value circles are built on mutual contribution, not just taking. So as you seek people who will raise your value, focus on raising theirs too. Share your knowledge, offer your support, and celebrate their wins as much as your own. If you want to bet on yourself, bet on building a network that reflects the level you want to reach, not the level you're currently at. Choose to be the smallest fish in a bigger pond, so you're always challenged to grow. Be intentional about who gets your time, your attention, and your energy, because whether you rise or fall often depends less on your potential and more on the people you let influence you. Protect your environment as fiercely as you protect your dreams, and watch how fast you grow into the person you've always known you could be. Reinvention is one of the most powerful strategies for long-term success because it keeps you relevant, adaptable, and prepared for whatever life throws your way. Too many people make the mistake of thinking that once they reach a certain level, whether it's in their career, finances, or personal life, they can just coast. But the truth is, the world changes fast. Industries evolve, technology advances, and opportunities shift. If you stay the same while everything around you moves forward, you eventually get left behind. Betting on yourself means making the decision to continuously upgrade who you are, what you know, and how you operate. Think about some of the most successful people in history. They didn't achieve greatness by doing the exact same thing for decades without change. They evolved. Michael Jordan was known for his explosive athleticism early in his career. But as he aged, he reinvented his game, focusing more on precision, skill, and strategy. Madonna has stayed relevant in the music industry for decades because she constantly reinvents her image and sound. Elon Musk moves from one industry to another. Software, energy, space, automotive. Constantly learning and reshaping himself to meet the demands of each challenge. They understand that the version of themselves that got them to one stage of success is not the same version that will take them to the next. Reinvention starts with self-awareness. You have to be honest enough to ask yourself, is the way I'm operating now going to get me where I want to be in 5 years? If the answer is no, it's time to make changes. This doesn't mean you throw away everything you've done. It means you take the best parts of yourself and evolve them to meet the demands of your next chapter. Just like a phone gets regular software updates to run better, you have to update your personal operating system to stay sharp and effective. One of the biggest barriers to reinvention is fear. It's comfortable to stay where you are, especially if you've built some level of success. Reinvention means stepping in unfamiliar territory, admitting you're a beginner again, and risking failure. That's why so many people resist it until they have no choice. Like when they lose a job, face a crisis, or get forced into change by external circumstances. But the most successful people don't wait for life to push them. They disrupt themselves before the world does. A practical way to start is by setting a self-upgrade goal every 90 days. This could be learning a new skill, taking on a challenge that scares you, changing a habit that's holding you back, or seeking experiences that expand your perspective. These upgrades don't have to be massive. What matters is that you're consistently moving forward and expanding your capabilities. Over time, these small reinventions compound into massive personal transformation. Another important part of reinvention is letting go of old identities that no longer serve you. Maybe you've always seen yourself as the employee, but now you want to step into being a leader. Maybe you've always been the shy one, but you want to develop confidence in public speaking. If you cling too tightly to who you've been, you block yourself from becoming who you could be. Reinvention requires the courage to release outdated versions of yourself, even if they feel familiar. This process also demands that you stay curious. Curiosity is the fuel for reinvention. The more you explore, ask questions, and learn about the world, the more raw material you have for creating a new version of yourself. Read widely, talk to people outside your usual circle, and expose yourself to new industries, cultures, and ideas. You never know which spark will ignite the next evolution of your life. Reinvention is not about abandoning your core values or personality. It's about building on them to create the most effective, relevant, and empowered version of yourself possible. It's about refusing to be defined solely by your past achievements, and instead focusing on your future potential. The more you embrace change as a natural part of growth, the more resilient and confident you become in navigating it. If you want to bet on yourself, make reinvention a lifestyle, not a one-time event. Every few months, look at your habits, your skills, and your mindset, and ask yourself what needs upgrading. Be willing to trade what's comfortable for what's necessary. Step into rooms where you're the least experienced person, so you're forced to grow. Seek challenges that demand you operate at a higher level. Because the more times you successfully reinvent yourself, the more you'll trust that you can handle whatever comes next. The world rewards those who stay relevant, adaptable, and forward-thinking. Don't wait until you're forced to change. Start shaping the next version of yourself today. When you commit to constant reinvention, you stop fearing the future because you know you'll always be ready for it. That's the real power of betting on yourself. You're not just investing in who you are now, you're investing in every stronger, wiser, more capable version of you still to come. Energy is the fuel that powers every decision, every action, and every achievement in your life. Without it, even the best plans and biggest dreams remain stuck in your mind. You can have all the skills, resources, and opportunities in the world, but if your physical, mental, and emotional energy is drained, you won't be able to execute at your highest potential. Betting on yourself means protecting and managing your energy as carefully as a business owner protects their capital. Because once your energy is depleted, everything else slows down or stops completely. Think of energy like the operating budget of your life. Every task you take on, every conversation you have, every decision you make costs you something. If you keep spending without replenishing, you eventually go into deficit. Just like a company that goes bankrupt from poor financial management, people go through burnout from poor energy management. The scary part is that burnout doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow leak. You ignore the signs at first: constant fatigue, reduced focus, less patience, less enthusiasm. Then, before you realize it, you're running on fumes, and everything feels harder than it should. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating energy as if it's unlimited. They take on too many commitments, say yes to everything, and fill their days with obligations that don't actually move them toward their goals. They believe that pushing harder is the answer, but the truth is, pushing without recharging only depletes you faster. High performers don't just work hard, they work smart by balancing effort with recovery. They understand that their energy is a finite resource that must be invested wisely. Look at elite athletes. They train hard, but they also rest hard. They prioritize sleep, nutrition, hydration, and mental recovery because they know their performance depends on it. They don't see rest as weakness. They see it as strategy. You need to take the same approach to your own life. Your goals require sustained effort over months and years, and you can't sustain anything if you're constantly running on empty. Managing your energy starts with awareness. You need to know what activities drain you and what activities energize you. Draining activities aren't just physically exhausting. They can be mentally or emotionally taxing as well. Maybe it's certain meetings, constant multitasking, toxic conversations, or spending hours on tasks that don't align with your strengths. Energizing activities are the ones that light you up and make you feel alive. Creative work, exercise, learning something new, connecting with inspiring people, or simply spending time in nature. The goal is to minimize the first category and maximize the second. But protecting your energy isn't just about removing what drains you. It's also about building habits that consistently recharge you. This might mean scheduling daily movement to keep your body strong, practicing mindfulness to clear your mind, setting boundaries around your time, or making sure you're eating in a way that fuels your focus and stamina. It also means giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Too many people associate rest with laziness, but in reality, rest is what allows you to come back stronger and more focused. Boundaries are another key part of energy management. Every time you say yes to something, you're committing a portion of your energy to it. If you keep saying yes to low priority tasks, you'll have nothing left for what actually matters. Learning to say no is not about being selfish. It's about being strategic. You have to decide which opportunities are worth your energy investment and which are not. This isn't always easy, especially if you're used to pleasing people, but it's necessary if you want to protect the resources you need to achieve your biggest goals. Your environment also plays a massive role in your energy levels. Clutter, noise, negativity, and chaos all drain you faster than you realize. On the other hand, an organized, positive, and inspiring environment naturally boosts your energy and focus. That's why high achievers are intentional about where they work, who they spend time with, and what they allow into their mental space. If you want to bet on yourself, you need to start treating your energy like it's more valuable than money. Because it is. Money can be replenished, time and energy cannot. You can't perform at your best if you're constantly exhausted, distracted, or overwhelmed. Start thinking of your energy as your primary investment capital and manage it like a wise investor. Spend it on high return activities, protect it from unnecessary drains, and make regular deposits through rest, self-care, and rejuvenating experiences. When your energy is high, everything else becomes easier. Your decisions are sharper, your creativity flows, your resilience increases, and your confidence grows. You show up fully for your work, your relationships, and yourself. You don't just get through the day, you own it. And when you consistently operate from that state, you multiply your results and your influence. That's why protecting your energy is one of the smartest bets you can make on yourself. It's the fuel that makes every other investment in your life pay off. When you decide to bet on yourself, you're not just making a choice for the present. You're committing to a long-term vision of who you want to become and what you want to create. Vision is the ultimate compass. Without it, you drift. You end up reacting to life instead of directing it. But with it, you have a powerful internal GPS that keeps you moving forward even when the road gets rough. Vision gives meaning to your effort. It turns daily actions into building blocks of something greater. And the stronger your vision, the more likely you are to stay consistent, because you're no longer working for random outcomes. You're working for a clear, compelling future you've already seen in your mind. The mistake many people make is treating vision as something vague, like, I just want to be successful, or I want to be happy. These aren't visions, they're wishes. A true vision is specific, detailed, and emotionally charged. You can picture it so clearly that you can almost touch it. You know what it looks like, what it feels like, and why it matters to you. You can describe the life you're building in such detail that it excites you every time you think about it. This level of clarity is what fuels discipline and resilience, because when you know exactly where you're going, the temptation to quit is weaker than the desire to see it through. One way to strengthen your vision is to reverse engineer it. Start by imagining your ideal life 5 or 10 years from now. Don't hold back. Paint the picture in full color. Where are you living? Who are you surrounded by? What kind of work are you doing? What does your day look like from morning to night? Now ask yourself, what kind of person would I need to become to make this vision a reality? This is important because vision without personal growth is just fantasy. You can't expect to live a bigger life without becoming a bigger person. Once you know the kind of person you need to become, you can start making decisions today that align with that future. This is where vision becomes a daily guide, not just a far-off dream. If your vision is to run a thriving business, then every decision about how you spend your time, what you learn, and who you connect with should move you closer to that. If your vision is to be financially free, then how you spend and invest your money today should reflect that. If your vision is to be healthy and strong, then your choices about food, movement, and rest should be shaped by that goal. A compelling vision also pulls you through challenges. When obstacles come, and they will, it's easy to get discouraged if you're only focused on the immediate struggle. But if you have a strong vision, you see setbacks in context. You understand that this is just one chapter in a much bigger story. You start to see obstacles not as signs to stop, but as opportunities to learn and strengthen yourself for the next stage of the journey. That's why so many people with big visions outlast those with only short-term goals. They're not just chasing a task, they're building a life. Another powerful aspect of vision is how it influences the people around you. When you have clarity and passion about where you're going, you inspire others to join you, support you, and sometimes even open doors for you. People are drawn to those who have direction, because most people don't have it themselves. This means your vision doesn't just serve you. It becomes a magnet for resources, relationships, and opportunities. But vision alone isn't enough. You have to protect it. Doubt from others, fear from within, and the noise of everyday life will try to blur it. That's why you need to revisit it often. Write it down. Look at it daily. Talk about it with people who support it. Every time you engage with your vision, you strengthen its pull on your actions. And the stronger that pull, the less willpower you need to stay consistent, because your vision becomes the driving force. If you truly want to bet on yourself, you must create a vision that's worth betting on. It should excite you, challenge you, and scare you a little. It should be big enough that it demands your best, but clear enough that you know the next step to take. Your vision is the bridge between where you are and where you could be. Without it, you wander. With it, you build. And every day you take action toward that vision, you're proving to yourself that you made the right bet, that you are the most valuable investment you will ever make. Hold on to your vision fiercely. Let it guide your decisions, fuel your discipline, and shape your habits. Because one day, you'll wake up living the life you once could only imagine, and you'll realize it wasn't luck that got you there. It was the decision to see it, believe it, and work for it every single day, no matter what. That's the power of vision, and that's the ultimate reward for betting on yourself. Thank you very much.